What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
This is basic Smarkonomics.
And Robert E. Felice.
I'm back, baby. Get rid of me for one podcast.
Something about Lash as well. He said back, so I was assuming Lash was coming up next. You're back, and Callum is Lash. How about that? And I am the WWE logo. There you go. That's what we're doing today. We are spontaneously kind of deciding to add this as our main event. I didn't have a game plan last night. I reached out to these guys. It's like, so, any ideas? And Rob's idea was to do a Fannounce Table of Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from Backlash 2003. It is 20 years ago, around the 20-year mark. I mean, not exactly. That was April 27th. This is April 19th when we're doing this, but that's close enough. We're not going to bother to be like, we have to wait a couple more days or something. And since Brock Lesnar is going to be in the main event of this year's Backlash against Cody Rhodes, and there are potentially championship implications in there, it's not quite the same scenario by any means. John Cena was just at WrestleMania. Hey, you know what? Why not? We didn't really have anything else in mind because WWE screwed up a lot of the plans that we had for how are we going to balance out draft things, and we were going to potentially do something based off of King of the Ring in a few weeks and all. So we've had to rearrange quite a bit of the schedule. And this is one of those weeks where it was just like, let's figure something out. So for anybody that says they want more Fannounce tables, thank Rob for that. It was his suggestion.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that stood out to you that made you go, how about this match when you were suggesting it?
Oh, I was thinking of the 20-year thing, and then I thought, what if we went back 10 years? But that would be Brock versus Triple H at Extreme Rules, and that was more of a May thing. And I said, John Cena, 20 years of Cena is still kind of a popular topic. Brock's going to be in the main event against Cody. This is, 20 years after Brock just won the WWE title for the second time because he had to go through adversity. It felt like if we're ever going to watch this random match, now's the time.
It's also it's one of their featured matches in John Cena's 2K23, like the whole Cena showcase mode. One of the matches that features is this one. So yeah, it's aligned in that way as well.
So this event is, obviously, it's not only just Backlash 2003, but this was April 27th, 2003. This is from the Worcester Centrum. It's an interesting name, Centrum, in Worcester, Massachusetts. How do you guys say the sauce? It's not spelled the same, but how do you guys say it? The sauce I'm talking about. Because nobody has everybody says it differently, it seems.
It's Worcestershire.
Worcester.
I've heard more than anything Worcestershire, which I'm like, who bothered to spell it this way? Worcestershire.
You do realize it's an English city, right?
Yeah, but I mean, what the hell? Why don't you just go for another name for this sauce? Make it a little easier for everybody. But that's not this.
It's from the place. It's from Worcester.
Look at all the confusion that comes with hamburger.
What?
Everybody, it's not ham, but it's from Hamburg. So everybody just goes like, oh, this is kind of confusing. And then Frankfurter hot dogs and stuff. Listen, I'm kind of hungry right now. So.
Yeah, you think? Eat more than an apple. How about that?
Yeah, well, an apple a day keeps something away. I don't know what. Hopefully it's not keeping you away from leaving your comments below, though. So as we go along here and we watch this, and you guys are watching it along with us, that's kind of the whole point. Or maybe you are just listening to us talk. I don't know. Does anybody ever do that? Let me know in the comments. Do you just not bother to put the thing on? You just listen to the podcast? I'm curious. But the way that we do this thing here is, if you've seen any of the Fannounce Tables or the Fan Tracks podcast over on Fanboys, which the most recent one of those was Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Rob and I watched that about a week ago or so at this point. So the way that this works is the same as that. We give you a countdown of 3, 2, 1, play. And if you sync your Peacock feed in particular, that's what we were watching this, or at least that's what Rob and I are watching this, because Rob and I have the Peacock feed and Callum's over there with the WWE Network proper. It is at 1:21:11 is what we are starting off at. it should be, the screen should have Remedy by Cold, the official theme song of WWE Backlash. And technically, if you're trying to sync it up in a different way and it's from the network and all that, Taz should have just said, I know Cole, I know Cold, I know everybody. And you should pause right after that. And then Michael Cole is going to start off with, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next. And we're going to lead into a video package. And it's going to start, leading into the John Cena and Brock Lesnar match. So we gave you a countdown of 3, 2, 1, play. When we say play, we hit the play button. And I hit the little countdown ticker on the time code on the screen. If you are obviously listening to this on the audio only feeds, then there will not be a time code because there's no screen for you, but you should still be able to sync it up pretty much exactly the same way just by listening 3, 2, 1, play, that kind of thing. Before we get into that, though, I want to just plug a couple things real quick. I mentioned before leaving a comment below, but another thing that you should do on YouTube if you are over there is hit the like button. Make sure you are also subscribed to the channel. Also, ring that little notification bell. Set up your alerts so that way you know when we go live for certain things. Because, we've done a couple little live Fannounce tables in the past, and we, of course, do the pay-per-view point post shows, and I'd like to do some more live content. So that way, if we do decide to randomly go live, you get a little email that'll tell you, hey, these guys are on right now if you want to be able to click on that. Also, next to the subscribe button is a join button. And that gives you access to the channel members only content, the same thing as the Patreon, like the Darkcast and the Pick a Poison tier, and even just the $1 a month tier goes a long way to help keep the lights on here. Little thanks buttons out there too, in case you aren't able to join like the super chats, just toss a buck our way or whatever. But the Darkcast that's going to be coming up soon is going to be the mock draft fantasy booking what if sort of combo thing, where we're going to address the idea of what if AEW were to have a brand split. How would you balance out the rosters? And, obviously you're going to separate CM Punk and that side from the Elite. But when you start getting into some of the other things, where does Jade Cargill fall? And what happens with, does the Dynamite brand get Britt Baker, or does the Dynamite brand get Thunder Rosa? Because they seem like they need to be separated and such. So stay tuned to the Darkcast for that. Also pick up some merchandise on Redbubble and TeePublic. And just for the sake of it, let me get the plugs out of the way when it comes to some other things here. Also, share your support for Fanboys Anonymous, the blue brand, if we're talking about the red and blue split. FanboysAnonymous.com is all about geek culture. So if I want to talk about video games or movies or comics or TV shows or whatever, that's the place you're going to find it. That's where the Shazam thing is. And that is also where the Blueprint Project is housed. And you should know the Blueprint Project by now, but if you don't, that is my huge epic undertaking of trying to take the entire history of certain characters and to rewrite their, from 1 to 100 with the Batman story, or 10 different realms when it comes to Thor, redoing the whole Star Wars movies, whatever it might be. The Batman A Nighttime Story, I already have a couple things up for that, and I have chapter 3 recorded. I haven't started editing it yet, but that's going to be coming up pretty soon. Probably within a week from now, I'll have that up. So if you want to know the continuation of the story of where Bruce Wayne left off, that is coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. Also, check out my pitch for Absolute Power Rangers, a Mighty Morphin epic. That is, of course, a completely different sort of thing from the Batman A Nighttime Story. That is a 12 feature film thing that I have really dived really deep into in a way that anytime I talk to somebody about it, they're always just like, you're putting way more thought into this than I thought you would. So check that stuff out. And of course, we will talk more about that stuff on Fanboys. But hey, it's Mark Out Moment, and we've got a match to watch here for the Fannounce Table. So let's get the ball rolling on this. Remember, I will say 3, 2, 1, play. When I say play, you will see the stopwatch go the way that you can see it on your screen right now, just to give you an indication of that. So let me pause this. Let me reset that. And you should get all this stuff up and ready to go, because I'm ready. What about you, Rob?
I am ready.
What about you, Callum?
I'm always ready.
All righty, everybody. So we are going to get this started in 3, 2, 1, play.
Old school John Cena. Match built on respect.
Now, I have not seen this match. I've not seen the build-up of the promo, anything, so I'm getting a crash course right now.
Yeah. So this is my first Backlash. It's the first Backlash ever since I started watching wrestling.
That's a line.
Yeah. So Lesnar was WWE champion, of course, after winning at WrestleMania 19, defeating Kurt Angle for the title. Kurt Angle was out of the picture because he got his neck caved in. And so they decided to put this one to number one contenders tournament. Cena was very, very he was very new into this gimmick at this point, less than a year in. Less than a year into the main roster in general. Cena beat The Undertaker thanks to the FBI.
How far is it before he starts getting into like groundswell of support, babyface, heading towards the U.S. title type?
Months away.
Couple months?
Yeah, so he officially turns babyface in the build towards Survivor Series 2003. He's already getting a lot of groundswell support at that point. At this point, he's very much mid-card.
I love this song, by the way.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that, like, John will have this match here. He will go on to be part of like a lower mid-card 6-man tag the next month. But then he literally fights Undertaker and then Kurt Angle, and then he's babyface feuding with guys like Brock again. Like, that's how you build a star. That is why John Cena had staying power. Because there was no off switch once they got going.
Almost like giving somebody upward momentum and not just halting it to a dead stop is probably the right course of action, and they haven't learned that lesson for the past 20 years.
I mean, you say that. I mean, like next month after this show, it's not like he's immediately moving towards like United States titles. Well, to be fair, United States title doesn't exist at this point.
It doesn't
arrive. No, it doesn't arrive until
a good 2 or 3 months.
Vengeance 2003, so it's a few months away from coming into WWE. But yeah, I mean, next month he's at Judgment Day. He teams with the FBI against Chris Benoit, Rhino, and Spanky.
But there is a little bit of follow with that full-blooded Italian thing because he teams with them.
Yeah, and then he fights the Undertaker at Vengeance, and then he's fighting Kurt Angle at No Mercy. So he is fighting top names. He's losing pretty much all the time, but you know.
I don't think if I would have been watching at this time, I don't think I would have liked rapper Cena.
I'm shocked to hear that. And there's another line. Not bad. I mean, he's
Yankees jersey.
Yeah, so obviously he's from Boston, so they're trying to heal him by making him wear a New York Yankees jersey instead.
Mm-hmm.
And Yankees sucks, Chance. Your sports team is not my favorite sports team.
Hey, I'm from a different region than you. I supported the region that I'm around. I never understood the mass loyalty when it comes to that.
I miss Taz. Just every time Brock came out, just Taz just saying, "Well, here comes the pain." That was just his thing. It's like his boss time.
Much more subtle though, wasn't like. Whoa!
Taz is great on commentary. With him just goofing off on AEW, that's the best part. But I digress.
This is the best looking Brock Lesnar because he's not like
no pyro
built.
Yeah, I know. It's
No,
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 well,
no
he'll
pyro
have
on that
pyro in
end.
a second, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just like crowd, like my volume, whatever stuff like that. The crowd don't sound super into him.
No, because this is probably like a given. Nobody believes in John Cena at this point.
No, I'm saying they don't really sound that into Brock either. There we go.
They were into that pyro though.
Mm-hmm.
They always cheer the pyro. Because it does feel like a very like a dead rubber. Like this is first feud. No chance you're losing type scenario. Like this is putting Daniel Bryan against Kane in his first match. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's not losing that.
Cena's always moved awkwardly, but he still hasn't found it yet. And it's pretty great.
It's quite interesting that like they're going to have this match and it's going to be quite like back and forth. And realistically, at least the most memorable match these two ever had was Brock Lesnar just beating
right?
John Cena up for. Oh no, I was talking about the SummerSlam. Brock just beating John Cena up for like 10 minutes, and then I mean that's where kind of Suplex City was. Not the phrase itself, but the concept of Suplex City was born in that match.
See, if I think John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, I think the comeback match.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, but because, like, I think of that match because what the fuck were they thinking having Lesnar lose his first match back?
It was kind of weird if you look at it in retrospect, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a humbling
got,
thing. Like,
yeah,
hey, if you're going to come back, you need to prove that you're willing to do business, you know?
Well, but like, you need to remember, there was a whole thing with John Cena being like, I'm going away. He was going through the divorce at the time, I believe. I think they got cold feet with having John lose twice. Well, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, the whole story of that year they were supposed to be telling was that Cena had a terrible year, which then led to his redemption against The Rock. But the whole thing is that he actually, yeah, the fact is like he wins that match. I think he wins the title at some point that year as well. So it's like
no, not that year. That year is Punk's year.
Oh yeah, it's Punk's year. Yeah, Punk is champion the whole year. Yeah, you're right. But it's not like he loses.
He steals Punk's feud with Laurinaitis. Like it was very
he wins
weird.
Money in the Bank that year. So it's like.
It's sort of like with Cody, where they got cold feet. All you had to tell a simple story, and they didn't want to do it.
And did it all work out in the end, or does it make you a little nervous that Cody's isn't going to work out?
I mean, it worked out fine for John. John was bulletproof at that point.
Yeah.
Cody's not as bulletproof as John was.
Yeah. I mean, this sort of match that you can like look back on in retrospect and just say like, okay, this was kind of a starting point for Cena being elevated towards like main event level. Like he's fighting for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, this match, it works out for John.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but it's kind of like one of those things that you could also look back on. Like if it went in a different direction, you'd look back and feel like, oh, I'm sure Tatanka fought for the WWE Championship at one point or whatever, and then just didn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
So it's like it's kind of like one of your make or break things, and it could just either be the pinnacle of your career or the start of it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we're probably going to get Zelina Vega versus Rhea Ripley pretty soon, and I don't think anybody's going to look at that as Zelina's going to end Rhea's title reign.
You know what they did great in this one is they gave Cena a bunch of again, it weren't exactly the cleanest wins ever, but they had him beat a bunch of guys and get this earnest opportunity. Yeah, the win against the Undertaker was very like vague because that's kind of what the Undertaker was like at this point in time. Just don't put anybody over. But yeah, he beat Guerrero and Benoit, two guys who by next year would be world champions. But Tony Chimel was just flailing all over the place there.
Poor bastard. They always like to pick on poor Chimel.
Do you guys miss the different look for the Raw and SmackDown referees?
What, blue and so yeah, it's the blue shirts for the SmackDown ones, and then the traditional black and white stripes for Raw.
Yeah, I
yeah,
do because
you're meant to differentiate the brands. They're meant to be
yeah,
different.
imagine that if you're gonna do a brand split,
Mm-hmm.
make it different. Who would have thought?
No, what I miss that whole Backlash set design.
Yeah, the set designs is another thing. Like this era, I think was the peak of. It doesn't look, like a dimly lit arena, but it also isn't dramatic. Like the way they have it now is ridiculous. This is a good balance.
It's interesting because like this is also kind of a rare thing, really, because this is like the only like less than a year period of Cena wrestling heel. Because basically beyond this point, past Survivor Series 2003, Cena doesn't wrestle heel for the rest of his career.
You think that Lesnar that he cut himself ahead of time and then just taped it up and then to do that, or do you think that this was?
The story going into it was that Cena had bloodied him up on the SmackDown prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he probably still had stitches in place or whatever, and it was just a case of just picking away the stitches, really.
It's such a different style match than these two would end up doing.
Well, no, because I think it starts with the Cena match, and then after Goldberg, it's just ridiculous. Where Brock just has to do 2 moves. At this point, you still had to have a match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually wrestling a match here. He's looking vulnerable, and he's, doing more than a suplex and an F5 and a tackle.
I think it's kind of. I think it's worse like this. Like I know there's always going to be a happy medium. I know it came like repetitive because they just weren't giving him good challenges to put up against. But it is a case of that whole formula really kind of works for him. That's how you would book a guy like Lesnar. Could just throws a guy around and dominates him. To be fair, I think something that people don't give Lesnar enough credit for is the fact that he's an excellent seller. He sells really well, but he should never be on defense for long.
Yeah, unless you're up against somebody who the whole point is that they are equal or above him. Like Omos is bigger than him, so putting up a fight against that makes a lot more sense than if he's up against like Finn Balor or whatever.
Oh yeah, but it's just so interesting to see Cena do this style because, I mean, put it this way, like it kind of made sense for him to become a babyface at some point because his heel offense is rather bland. Like, it's just like a really traditional side suplex. Now we've got like this chin lock in place.
Well, you gotta think, like, at this point, the high-flying maneuvers are being done by, like, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Eddie in the grand scheme of things, his style isn't that insane. It would, like, compared to what we see now, it would be like he's Kurt Angle.
It's a good visual, by the way. All the blood dripping down Cena's side of his face.
Mm.
Cena's got a full head of hair here.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I always laugh that Cena says he had new gear ready when they told him he was going to turn heel for The Rock, and then got cold feet again. I wonder what that would have looked like. I wonder what John Cena in gear would be.
It'd be quite funny if he'd have just reverted back to what he was originally wearing when he came into the company.
Yeah, it's like trunks, the colorful trunks.
Yeah, he changed them for colorful shirts instead.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, I can understand your point of view of like not thinking Cena would you'd like the rapping Cena, and frankly, like rapping is very much like air quotes at this point in time. But that's
why
John Cena. Yeah.
That's why in particular, because it's like there's no beat to it. There's no real rhythm. It's just it's like bad slam poetry,
See, I also see the problem with this is the fact that like see the crowd is just like dead at this point. Like this is the double down spot where the crowd is supposed to get into Lesnar making a comeback, and they're really not into it. And I think the main reason for that is that I think Brock can work as a babyface if he's like beating up some really hated sniveling heel and he's just destroying them for minutes. But as we saw like over this past year or so, he can really work as a babyface. But he has to be destroying people. If he's in this kind of match, no one really wants to see Brock Lesnar in peril, I don't think.
Well, it's weird too when you've got the bigger guy is being subordinate to the smaller guy.
Yeah.
Like realistically, Rey Mysterio shouldn't be a babyface shouldn't be a heel for a number of different reasons. One of them being, of course, colorful costume and all, but like, could you imagine Rey bullying somebody? If you're Drew McIntyre and Rey Mysterio is like, "Hey, I'm gonna kick your ass, pal," and I'm Drew, I'm like, "All right, I'm just gonna pick you up and throw you into the crowd." I got some Let's Go Cena. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like they are in Massachusetts. He tried to get him with the Yankees bit, but.
What I mean, it's a mixture of things. I think it shoots that, but I also think that like Brock doesn't at this point in his career doesn't work as a babyface if Kurt Angle's not involved.
Maybe even more than that, though. We talk about the joke with Cody and the adversity, but Brock Lesnar, this is a year after his debut, and he's done nothing but run through every motherfucker.
Yeah.
They might be a little sick of Brock Lesnar here.
Well, I think it's not even that sort of it is. I think it's the case of. So I think his momentum was severely derailed by the fact that they had him lose to the Big Show at Survivor Series. But I think that. Yeah, it's hard to really put a finger on because like you never really know. I mean, they have Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle comes back from his surgery in a few months' time, and then he almost immediately beats Lesnar for the title again.
And then Brock just turns heel.
Yeah, and then Brock turns heel, and then you're back to the races really because Lesnar just works better as a heel.
Dude in the crowd's got a shirt that says Shrek 316.
That's awesome.
The crowd are into this now because they're probably just bored that. Well, to be fair, that's physically impressive that he just picks him up from the mat.
I mean, we see it all the time now with the obnoxious "We want tables" and the Dawson chant. They want to be able to participate.
Was there a big Canadian flag hanging from the ceiling?
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Massachusetts, it's kind of strange. They'd probably stop the match now because there's blood.
Oh yeah, they would not have.
Yeah. Oh, it's Brock. Brock's allowed to bleed. He's allowed to cause other people to bleed as well.
Even if he has to bust them open the hard way.
Yeah. Don't know what the fuck that was. We've just seen him just bumping shoulders into.
Yeah, sloppy. He is still like.
And now they're getting booed. Now he's getting booed. Oh fucking hell! He just completely whiffed that clothesline, just hit his arm.
John, no, please.
I mean, also we talk about the adversity about Cody like not suffering enough. I think people seem to forget that Lesnar won the title within like 3 months of debuting.
Well, that was my point.
Terrible. This is awful.
Yeah, John Cena.
I assume it's look. What are they doing?
What is happening?
I think Lesnar's getting pissed. Lesnar's getting pissed off that this guy just isn't going on.
Oh, no wonder they put him in a 6-man tag next month. He sucks here. Wow.
I mean, to say like Cena became a great.
He became a great Cena. Like he didn't. Yeah. Nobody else works Cena's style.
Cena's a great sports entertainer. He's not necessarily the best pro wrestler.
Bro, this is a mess.
Yeah, this is yeah.
He didn't hit him. I don't know if you could tell that his fist came nowhere near his balls.
Well, Cena's fists never go near anything that's like actually connects. Was he?
Oh wait, the throwback. That's a great move that he does not do anymore.
It'll just drop that from his arsenal pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He had it for a few years. I think he stopped around when he came back from the second torn pec.
Yeah, I guess so. Guess you don't want to take that much of a high impact thing. Then but then, like in future, he starts doing Hurricane Ranas. Fuck it! Oh, that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, he grabs that chain.
Who's this ref?
Brian Hebner.
That's Brian Hebner.
Okay.
Bill Hebner's son.
So he looks familiar, but I couldn't place him.
He's supposed to kick him in the balls there, but he missed wildly because he's John Cena. And we're done.
God, that's a lame finish. Like he just goes for the thing.
He kicks him. See, Brock's holding his balls because it was supposed to be another kick to the balls, but
like the fact that Brock decides to take like 10 seconds to walk around a little bit before pinning him.
Yeah.
So what do we think about this here?
It's bland.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I mean, I wasn't watching at this time, so I don't know about like how it fits into the mold of, you know, what led into it, what follows out of it. But to me, if I wasn't watching wrestling and I watched this match, I wouldn't be impressed enough to continue to watch.
Well, so a bit of context of what comes next. So earlier on in the night, there was a match between Big Show and Rey Mysterio. And that was obviously, it went as you would expect it to go, which is Big Show pretty much squashed Rey Mysterio. But chokeslammed through the mat. But then the big thing that happened afterwards is that Rey Mysterio was taken out on a stretcher due to the match. And Big Show came back out, grabbed Rey Mysterio on the stretcher, and swung him into the ring post.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's
a
like
great
one of
clip.
The best things the Big Show ever did. And that leads to a stretcher match between Brock Lesnar and the Big Show at Judgment Day for the WWE Championship, where Rey Mysterio gets involved and helps Lesnar get the victory.
So that makes some sense, but it has absolutely nothing to do with John Cena. So then that kind of...
Well, I'd say Cena goes back down the card after this. He gets thrown in with the FBI for a little bit. Then he goes into the match with The Undertaker at Vengeance. That's kind of his next like big match after this. Then it's the match with Kurt Angle at No Mercy. Then he turns babyface. He joins Kurt Angle's team at Survivor Series against Brock Lesnar's team. And then you're on the fast track to him becoming United States champion at WrestleMania 20. And then you're properly off to the races with him. He basically makes that title his own for the entirety of 2004. And then he's WWE champion by 2005. So this was his first opportunity at the title. I don't know how many other future opportunities he had at the WWE title before fighting JBL at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, if anything, you had a handful, and they were probably all on like none of them were on pay-per-view, so they would have only been like on SmackDown. But yeah, this is like the first glimpse of Cena being in that position of a title guy. But yeah, I think looking back on this and just seeing kind of, especially the end sequence, how sloppy that was, but then also just the whole match feeling so mid-card for your WWE title match, I think it's quite clear why it took him an extra 2 years to actually be on top.
But again, I'm going to say it's important to note they did not stop the momentum with him. You know, they kept it going. And I think that that's something that wrestling is missing today, where it's like, if it doesn't click immediately, they want to shift gears from a guy, and they shouldn't do that.
I just realized I probably should have stopped the countdown timer for anybody that's on this. But, I mean, that's been going on. Maybe if you wanted to continue to watch it, I don't know. But that's the match. I mean, that's something that maybe, who knows if they're going to revisit anything remotely similar to this when it comes to Cody. I don't think so. Because, I mean, it is a different scenario. Brock Lesnar being champion instead of being like a kind of... an obstacle to get over to get back to the championship and all, but I mean, John Cena hadn't won the title yet at this point. Cody Rhodes hasn't won the title yet at this point. I'm at least hoping that Lesnar and Cody have a better match than the Lesnar and Cena match that happens here.
Well, I mean, I think they're gonna have a great match. I don't think Cody's gonna win, but we'll save that when we get to it. But,
I think Lesnar's winning too. Yeah.
I think is someone gonna be like Brock's second match to Backlash. That's a fun one. Or to be a third. Did he fight in 2002 at Backlash, Cal?
Yes, he did. Actually, I'll quiz Tony on this one. Assuming you don't know either.
Yeah, no idea.
So Backlash 2002 was Lesnar's first pay-per-view match. Who do you think that he fought at WrestleMania? Backlash 2002. Backlash 2002. I'll give you 3 guesses at it.
Spike Dudley.
No.
Matt Hardy.
Holy shit! You got it right.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, was it Matt? It
was Matt and Jeff. Didn't he?
No, it was. Sorry, it wasn't Matt. It was Jeff. I think.
Jeff Hardy wouldn't have been my third guess.
Yeah. Let me just check.
Third guess, I would have been probably like I don't know, like Juventud or something. Like, one of those people.
Yeah, it was Jeff. Yeah, it was Jeff Hardy. I thought it was Matt for a second, but it was actually.
I thought he fought them both. I thought he just beat them both up.
So that led to a match at Judgment Day 2002, which was the Hardy Boys versus Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in a tag team match.
And then he's just off to. Then they never do anything mid card with him ever again. He's just a main event guy until he leaves.
Then he wins King of the Ring the next month, and then he becomes. Then he fights Rob Van Dam for the Intercontinental title, but loses by disqualification, and then he beats Rock at SummerSlam, and then he's main event guy from that point onwards. 4 or 5 months since his debut.
If they want to push you, they're going to push you. If they don't want to push you, doesn't matter how popular you are, they're going to skirt around that, and
Yeah. But yeah, I really, again, I want to talk about this adversity thing because I think it's such a silly, lame thing that people are using. I wouldn't be mad if it was just like sheep using it, but like everybody from Heyman to Dustin Rhodes, everybody's like, well, they're making him earn it.
Stone Cold earlier today. Oh, it's not the right time.
Yeah, it's so silly. Like, be better, do better.
Well, at least when it comes to Backlash, that is this little Fannounce Table. And, of course, if you want us to do any other commentary tracks and all, always leave a comment below. Even if we don't necessarily have it in our plans, you never know. Maybe it's a spontaneous extra dark cast. Maybe it's something that we fold into for the next couple weeks or so. And, of course, we don't just necessarily do pure... hey, it's the one match. And we tend to do that a little bit more, especially when it comes to something like the Royal Rumble that ends up taking like an hour, or like a Money in the Bank or an Elimination Chamber or whatever. And maybe we'll come around to that when it comes to Survivor Series or whatever. But sometimes a random spontaneous match like this is something that we could do. So if there is a match that you want us to watch, let us know. Make sure that if you want to make sure that we do that, then you take advantage of the Pick Your Poison tier, where you can be like, hey, look, I specifically sponsored this. I want you guys to watch that match or something. And stay tuned to whatever it is we have coming up next, probably the Darkcast on that side. And if you don't see that is up on the channel, that's because that is only really promoted to the people that are on the Darkcast tier already. So if you check smarkoutmoment.com, then you can see that posts go up for whatever the podcast is. And that way, hey, look at that. That's actually a different podcast. Maybe I missed it on the YouTube front. I don't trust YouTube these days when it comes to like actually promoting things all that well. I tried to set up the channel on here a little bit better for the most recent content and all, because they weren't even bothering to do that for the live things. So basically, if you go to facebook.com/smarkoutmoment, or you go to twitter.com/smarkoutmoment, or you go to smarkoutmoment.com, that is a better way of judging whether or not something's been uploaded on YouTube, funny enough. In any fashion, all that stuff is heading your way. We got another episode of the Hot Tags coming up later on this week. And then next week, I don't really know exactly what our main event is going to be either. I mean, we have a couple ideas in mind, but the current game plan was to potentially do the Fantasy League draft, and then to also break down something related to the draft, because the draft will be somewhat close to. I mean, they're gonna do it on Friday, and then I don't know. We're gonna do something based off of that, but eventually the week after that, we're gonna get into Backlash predictions and cover that pay-per-view, and then who knows when we lead into the 3 pay-per-views that are happening on the same weekend in May. We might have to spread that out a little bit. I don't know, spread the wealth in some way. In any fashion, though, that is all happening, and make sure that you are staying tuned to not just the Smart Out Moment side of things, but also Fanboys Anonymous. Make sure that you are also going to all the places you can find on anthonymango.com or amangotree.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, whatever it might be that you want to follow. Follow me at Tony Mango, and follow what Rob and Callum are up to.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere, Dude Felice. Make sure to check out everything on Fightful.com, including Fightful Select. Ron Ross Sapp doing great work over there. Check out WrestleZone.com and check out what Callum has going on.
Yep, find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Head on over to smarkoutmoment.com to check out the power rankings, my weekly contribution every Saturday. And the Fantasy League will be coming back soon. I have plans in place to shake it up a little bit, but the rules will be in place soon, and we'll have our teams drafted pretty soon as well.
All right, everybody, that's it for this main event, and we will see you next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.